Hare Krishna. So I have been given the service of getting you active after prasadam. We'll begin with our first exercise. On the page first, we learnt about voice, timing, body language, etc., which we are now going to actually do. How does this go when we are in the teaching field? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you pair up with each other and do a particular exercise so that you are in a proper body language while dealing with your students, whether you are dealing with them one-on-one or you are dealing with them in a group. So the acronym is called SOUL. S is sit squarely. O is open body language. L is lean forward in an appropriate manner. And E is eye contact. These are called basics of a teacher's body language. So sit squarely means when a teacher sits in the asana, there is something called as asana siddhi. You have all studied some yogasanas in the past, I know. The power of these yogasanas is such that even if you master one of them, your mind becomes perfectly controlled. Any asana, even sukhasana, virasana, whichever asana you sit in. So, asana is also the framework in which mind becomes calm, clutter-free and focused to do your further work of teaching or whatever. Of course, in modern times with children, sitting down is not the best asana. The asana could mean that you may have to actually move around and be in an appropriate location and closeness with your students, by which you make them attentive. But in general, when you are talking to them, sitting down, these tips will help. So sit squarely, then open body language. Means that there should be nothing in between you and your students, first of all. And your body should not have anything clenched, holding yourself, or legs in a cross position, arms in a cross position. This is not open body language. So, what do you got to say? So, open body language. Nothing, everything unclenched, plain and simple. Then lean forward and appropriate manner. If I lean forward like that and talk to you, you may wonder what's wrong with him. But I am appropriately leaning forward and talking to you. And then eye contact, which means like a fan, you periodically scan the whole of your room and you are looking at everybody and they know that you are attentive to them, and in fact you are able to get their needs and values simply by looking at them. Now there is a gender issue here. In ISKCON we are told that we have Matajis and Prabhujis, and how do we look at them? Hare Krishna. So therefore, I will give you a simple technique. If you are a Mataji, you can look at the forehead of Prabhus, not in the eyes. So when I am looking at you, you may wonder where am I looking at, but I am actually looking at your foreheads. And I look at Prabhus, I look into their eyes and I speak to them. So that's one tip on maintaining the purity, so to say, as a teacher. Don't tell this technique, huh? No, don't announce it everywhere. That's for us to know. So that's eye contact. Now I would like to invite Prabhuji to please take a chair. And I would like him to tell me about the most exciting thing that happened after he has joined ashram. Something that is very memorable to him. And I want him, please take a chair. No matter what I am doing, I request him to kindly continue his exciting story in the most animated manner. Are you ready? You have a story to tell?
What excited me most in Krishna consciousness was my connection through deity worship in base. So when I uh, joined ashram,
Yeah.
uh, I had an opportunity to make some. I wanted to make an offering for the Radha Gopinath on their appearance day. So I had gone to Dadar market and I observed how they make. They use thread and make garland just by tying flowers. So I used the technique and made a tulsi garland, and I gave it to the pujari that day evening. He went in and he tied it around Gopinath's lotus feet. So that was and that was there for like few hours, and that's why when you asked, the first thing that came to my mind.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. How did you feel while you were talking to me?
Yeah, like, I know why you were doing that, but so I didn't. But
I'm
I
asking, how
feel,
did you feel?
yeah, I'm, I'm feeling very happy.
For
For you revived the memory, an exciting memory for me.
that's nice. I'm asking about my behavior with you. How did you feel?
I'm amused. I'm amused and I'm elated that you could demonstrate it so nicely.
Okay. Thank you. Please take your seat. Anyways, how did you feel? What was happening here? Complete disinterest and neglected. Not even looking at him. Total misbehavior towards the child. What else? Very discouraging to go on speaking to such a person. You might be most exciting story of your life that you may have. So next time when you are talking to someone and you hold your mobile in hand, or you kind of have your own work that you have in your own head being programmed, but you are still trying to be in a conversation, please remember this, what we just now did with each other. So now let's do that. Quickly pair with each other, and one person A is going to tell person B the most exciting story of their life. And person B is supposed to demonstrate all these four things. And I will add to this just one last item, which I will talk about, is appropriate attendant behavior. Which means, if he told me something very exciting, I should get excited along with him. If he is leaning forward, I also should lean forward to hear. If he has exuberant laughter about what he's just now narrated to me, even if I'm not maybe exuberantly laughing, I must at least acknowledge that this was humorous. So, the point is, the more you resonate when you are talking to the other person with their mood and body language, the more you encourage them to speak to you and reveal whatever they have got to say. So that is called appropriate attendant behavior, which could mean sometimes through words. That's exciting. Tell me more. It could also mean through gestures, that you indicate you are interested or equally excited, happy, morose, and feeling dejected the way they are feeling about what happened. And this you will find even in nature. It happens every now and then in the nature around us. I saw one video. There was a Hare Krishna. There was a white polar bear, and they have this gaze of killing their prey, with which they look at their prey, approaching a poodle, a dog, another furry dog, in the, so to say, ice cold regions. And this poodle, there is a whole photography of what happened between the two of them. This person is coming to kill and eat the dog, and the dog did something so unusual. The dog stood on two legs and made gestures of I am playful. I am playful. And that gaze in the eyes of that polar bear melts into first astonishment and then acceptance, and they both start playing with each other. Cuddling, biting each other here and there. Not biting like for eating, out of fun. And then taking somersaults around each other, that kind of behavior. Most unusual video. Now what happens in our human conversations is that we are not attentive to the other person's needs and values. We are very attentive to our needs and values. Is that the behavior of servant of the servant? Are we following our philosophy? So therefore, what typically happens is, we put off people in having a conversation with us. And the secret of engaging children, this is one of the secrets, is to be able to make a conversation with them. So here are some basic tips. Sit squarely. No, nothing in between you and the students and that person. Nothing on your lap. No books, no nothing. Nothing in your hands. Keep everything aside. Just sit. Just sit next to each other as if you are theirs. Completely available, without any hindrance, any other attention in life. Open body language. Again, don't hold things around. Lean forward appropriately. Don't threaten them by too much leaning over. And eye contact. So look into their eyes. And Prabhus can do with Prabhus and Matajis can do with Matajis. So let's start. Person A has an exciting story to tell. Even if you couldn't complete it in the given time, don't worry. You can be given time separately outside the class to go and share it again. This is just an exercise for this to be learnt as a teacher. And then person A narrates the exciting story. Person B just does these things. Nothing else. Especially don't add your, as they say in Marathi, paushir into their story. Oh, that happened to me also. No need. Just listen. Huh? Don't say to that other person, that's all that happened to you. I will tell you much better story than what you have got. No need. We know you are very smart people, you have got exciting experiences in your life also, but that is inconsequential here. Right now you are servant of the servant. So, I hope these are clear and attendant. And don't overdo things. And if you overdo, later on in the feedback, they will tell me that my partner was overdoing it and I was getting discouraged. Whatever feedback comes, we will analyze it later. Then we will, this is just for 1 minute, and then the turn changes. Person B becomes the narrator and person A becomes the listener. Is this clear? Quickly just turn around your chairs, pair up with each other, and decide person A and B, and tell us the most exciting story in your life. Prabhuji, please combine with him. Hare Krishna. Please change the side, which means you remain, you remain the same seat, but person B becomes the narrator and person A becomes the listener. And continue. Okay, let's hear from all of you. How did you find your partner doing? So, did you observe that when you had an attendant appropriate behavior, your partner was eager to speak to you? How many of you felt that your partner had not fully assimilated some of these things that were being told? I'm not asking you to raise hands or anything. I'm letting you go through the experience where they might not have done something appropriately. For example, some of you are sitting like this and talking. That's fine. Maybe it shows quite a bit of attention. But better would be this, because we talked about it. Sit squarely. Completely squarely. You're talking to someone and there is nothing like, twisting the legs around or the arms around. Complete sit square. This is important in communication. Anything that you keep in between you and them creates some kind of, and if you want to speak of, you start looking at the watch when they are speaking. Or you look at suddenly you take out your mobile and look at the new latest SMS that arrived or something like that. So these are some inputs as regards to how you should deal with the kids when they come and talk to you. This is tapasya. Krishna says that there are 3 kinds of tapasyas. First is Shariram Tapa. What is that? Deva, Dvija, Guru, Pradnya, Pujanam. Being respectful to people that you associate with. Shaucham, cleanliness. Arjavam, simplicity. Brahmacharya, Ahimsacha. Following Brahmacharya, and Ahimsa, non-violent behavior. Shariram Tapa Uchyate. These are austerities of the body. So, hitting children or all that is a very far-fetched thing. Then comes Vangmaya Tapa. What is Vangmaya Tapa? Who knows this verse? Bhagavad Gita 17.15. Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyaya abhyasanam chaiva vangmayam tapa uchyate. So there is Shariram Tapa, then there is Vangmaya Tapa, austerity of speech. Anudvegakaram vakyam. Don't speak words that are agitating. Udvegakara. Satyam. Speak truthfully. Priya. In a pleasing manner. And hitamcha. Which is beneficial for the other person to hear. So let your speech go through these 4 filters before it comes out. Anudvegakara, Satya, Priya and Hita. Then only it gets delivered to your students. And how to make your speech attractive? Swadhyaya Abhyasanam. Regularly recite Vedic literatures. Sanskrit is such a language, by regularly speaking or listening or studying it, our language becomes very fine-tuned. Any other language becomes very fine-tuned. Our tongue becomes accurate in pronouncing each and every syllable that we speak. People can clearly hear. So these are some added advantages of Swadhyaya Abhyasanam, reciting Vedic literatures, which was not covered in that shloka class, the why to recite shlokas, but it's an additional advantage. Language becomes very clean. So, and the third type of tapasya, manah prasada saumyatvam, स्थैर्यम आत्मविनिग्रह भाव samshuddhirityeta tapo manasam uchyate. So the third type of austerity of the mind, manah prasada, to always be in a satisfied stage. Mind should be in a satisfied condition. Yadruchala abhasantushta, whatever kind of students we have got, we should be satisfied with them. So Krishna's arrangement that he has put those fellows in your lap. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam. This creation is also perfect and complete. Each situation that we are coming across in our life, each interaction, each person that has come in our presence, perfect and complete. That is exactly what we need to make spiritual advancement, to go closer to Krishna. So there is no point quarreling with that arrangement. ये ऐसा क्यों है, वो वैसा क्यों है, ये situation ऐसा क्यों है. Acceptance. Manah prasada. The moment you accept the other person as they are, the situation as it is, then you can do something about it. But half of our energy goes struggling against non-acceptance. It's a waste of time. So manah prasada. Saumyatva. Purity in thought. Mruduta. Sthairya. Being steady in one's thoughts on one subject at a time. That's what we are learning. When somebody is speaking to you, you are steady. You are not thinking of back answering them or programming. There is something called as autobiographical listening, which means instead of listening to what the other person is speaking, in their narration you add your autobiography. मेरे साथ क्या हुआ था life में. And that is what is running in your mind, not what they are speaking. That's called autobiographical listening. So sthairya means just listen. Atma vinigraha, taking the mind away constantly from the thoughts of sense gratification. Mind suddenly goes slip somewhere and starts thinking, munching on sense gratification. Just like mothers, sometimes you have seen baby is crawling and goes in a corner and puts hand in the fan that is rotating or grabs on the flame of a lamp or something. So what does mother do? Oh, chaddi pakad ke uska, you pull him, give him a toy here to play, sit here. The boy looks at mother like that. And then she goes for working in the kitchen. Again this fellow drifts somewhere. And the mother has one eye while working in the kitchen. Every time the drift happens, chaddi pakad ke wapas. Here, this is what you are supposed to play. This is exactly how a devotee deals with his mind, lovingly yet firmly. Keeps bringing back on the track. What is the now thing to be done in this situation as a service? So that's Atma Vinigraha. And Bhava Samshuddhi. Bhava Samshuddhi means constantly worrying about, am I purifying my consciousness or putrefying my consciousness by doing this or that? Bhava Samshuddhi. So that's the thought of a devotee while dealing with his mind. And these are tapo manasam uchyate. These are all austerities of the mind. So this is 17.14, 15, 16 Bhagavad Gita. By heart these shlokas and start applying them. As teachers, One more attitude we should cultivate in life. I'll tell it through a story. Once we had taken some IIT boys to Mayapur Gurukul, and there were some 8-10-year-old American, Canadian, Australian, Russian boys practicing the Gurukul culture. Quite austere life. So the IITians were asking them very heavy questions. How do you do this? How do you do that? What will happen to you in future? Where is your degree? That kind of question. And those boys, degrees for Shudras. That kind of answer they would give. So it was too much. And one boy asked them, so what happens when the floods come in the Ganga? So the boy said that we go on the first floor of our Gurukul building along with our cows and calves, because everything on the ground floor is water. And we stay there and we row in our boats to go here and there and to go for darshan or exciting life that boy was narrating. And where do you sleep? I said, on the udder of the cow. The boy says. And these IITians, for them this is inconceivable. And then the boy said, sometimes there are some water snakes, that come, they want to drink the water, the milk of the cow from the udder. And we have fun. And we have fun. And these boys, they have romanch, literally hair standing on and hearing these narrations. These boys are cool about it. And the IITians are thinking, what kind of child abuse is going on here in ISKCON? How can they keep boys like this? So they asked them, Are, is this not misery? The boy asked this 8-year-old boy in Gurukul was asked, is this not misery? Boy looked at him. Prabhu, tapasya is fun. Wow. It was a hard-hitting thing for me. First time when I heard that line. Tapasya is fun. In our current state, we are thinking sense gratification is fun. And a spiritualist thinks tapasya is fun. Denying the interest of the mind and the senses, subduing them and making them follow your command is fun. That's real sport. And not ulta, becoming a slave of your mind and senses. So all this is just a skill part of it, but what I'm inherently trying to teach is an attitude towards tapasya. That I have to control my body, I have to control my mind, and I have to control my speech when I am behaving with others in an educational forum. So that was one exercise. Now we will go to the second one. So this has to do with breaking our limits of thinking. So we have our own steady patterns of how we think, and this exercise is to do with breaking those limits. So I want you to stand up in your positions. Keep aside whatever you have, otherwise you may lose track of. Now what, for the first 1 minute, what we are going to do is we are going to look around in this room, and whichever object you are getting to see, you are going to call that object as it is. And you are going to point your finger towards that object and say what it is with your words. I'll give a demo. Clock, pillar, brown color, laddu, kangan, board. This is what is going to happen. And you have to keep doing this, and you should not repeat. 1 minute is quite a bit of time. Think about it. And then we will pause. Maybe because you are first time doing it, we'll do it for 30 seconds. Just to not torture you too much. 30 seconds. And then you will come back again into the exercise. Your time starts now. And don't be shy. Huh? This is what kind of exercise. You just do it. What I'm saying, you have to look at an object, point out your finger to it and say out loud what it is. Ready? Everyone together but different objects, obviously. Not same object. You can look at any other object. Just make sure that you don't hit on somebody's face or this and that. You can keep doing your own thing. Your own meditation on Krishna's energies. Ready? So 1, 2, 3, start. 4. chair, laptop, mobile, Sankirtan board, Jagannath. Stand back. Timer. Hold. Hold. Thank you. See, don't be shy. There is nothing to be shy about here. The next step. This time when you do this exercise, you have to point out towards the object, but say a completely different name that has got nothing to do with that object. Which means washing machine, mobile, bench, Sankirtan Prabhu, whatever. You have to go in that manner and make sure you can take a little. There is an intellectualization process that happens in the beginning. That's okay, but you have to really say something much different than what you are looking at, pointing towards it that this is this, and say it with like force. May not be conviction, but force. This is it. So red color. Whatever you want to say, you say anything, but with force. You have to say it. Okay, ready? Also tell them to keep the eyes open. Otherwise, yeah, you have to keep eyes open. Look at that object, point towards it, but say something different. No bad words. Ready? This is called breaking the mental limits. So this is an exercise. So your time starts now. Nityananda. Pause it. Okay, sit down. Okay, how many of you found first exercise was very easy? Okay. What was happening in the second exercise that made it difficult? Interference, which means?
That means we see something, we know what it is, we identify it, but at the same time we have to think of some different word. So it's kind of interference between what it is and what we think of, So it becomes more difficult for the brain to process and come up with new word.
Okay. Yes. What was your experience? Tell us. What was happening?
You had to challenge the brain and not see what you're seeing, but just visualize something else.
Very nice.
It was
Yes.
taking time for concentration.
It was taking great time to concentrate. Any other?
The brain was resisting that, अरे ये दिख रहा है fan, how I can say it is stable, झूठ नहीं बोलना, that thing was surfacing. So that resistance was very irritating to the mind.
Okay, very nice.
Break the thinking pattern of our thinking pattern. That, like, to me, all fruits' name were coming, so then I had to think something else,
So this was conditioning within conditionings.
Also, I kind of found a way of doing it to make it easier. Don't grab the attributes. Don't too much grab. I mean, what shape it is, what color it is, and then it becomes easier because anyway, no attribute in there.
Okay, you already had some names fixed in mind and just go on looking at anybody and do anything you want. Yes.
Guruji, but it was also a lot of fun. Just like I called this lamp as sun. And I called that whiteboard as TV. It was very amazing doing that, something ulta.
Okay. What was your experience? Very difficult, great struggle. Yes.
In fact, I found it quite easy. As you said that, you have to say red or green, imagine. I thought it is quite easy just to look at the objects and say a color, series of colors in line.
So
it
you
was-
found out a way to do it in a way you are comfortable about. Thank you. Very nice. Now you may wonder what is the utility of this exercise in Krishna consciousness, isn't it? Do you have any thoughts about it?
So I think this can be very powerfully used if I'm talking to somebody and I find something very irritating. I can visualize that doing exactly opposite that.
Yes,
You know,
very
some
nice.
behavior I can just remodify in my mind and say that this is something very loving and expression is in his or her own unique way.
Very nice. Pass on there. Behind.
I think, Prabhuji, it showed us how difficult it is to overcome our past conditioning. Because we are so conditioned to doing things in a particular way, so sometimes
Okay.
it's quite a challenge.
Okay, very nice. I'm so sorry it doesn't come here.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, it will help us to deal with our own resistances. It will help. It will help us to deal with many brain resistances. Many a times we don't want to do certain thing, like students they don't want to study, feel bored. But how we can make them study? Sometimes we don't want to do certain things, but it will help us against resistance how to go by doing this exercise. I feel like that.
Nice.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I felt that when I was doing that, my brain was not open to something new. I was resisting it, and because I was resisting it, I was getting irritated about it. So that was.
I thought that this showed me some hope that I can also trick my mind. And all the time the mind is tricking me. So maybe I can use this for something in japa or I don't know what, while reading or when I read you are thinking about something, so I can just trick my mind to cancel that, and I don't know. I have to try.
It came to my mind that we are what we are perceived. Sometimes we try to present something and people see something else. So this exercise for me was kind of that. And it happens. That came to my mind.
In a teacher-student relationship, what is the relevance of this exercise? Yes.
You are expecting something else and out of mind and giving something else answer.
Okay, students sometimes give something else as an answer to your question.
Yeah, children are expecting correct answer, and since I'm not attentive to them, I'm giving something incorrect answer or something like that.
Okay, because I am inattentive to them, I give incorrectly answers. Okay. Yes.
Like I am also a teacher teaching to 11th and 12th standard students. So when I ask some questions to them, then they will give completely opposite answers. And that time I'll feel very irritated. So other way is to listen to their answers, which may be wrong, but still then give a positive reply and then correct them positively. Maybe something like that.
Okay. The point I'm trying to make is what those two ladies mentioned in their experience. We are heavily conditioned to look at our particular student in a particular way only. We would not look at them otherwise. In fact, it is as if that we have branded them on their forehead with a certain notion that we carry about them. Irritable, stupid, overeating glutton, like that. We don't treat people as their persona, we actually read what label we have assigned to them beforehand. Especially that happens with our students when we go in a classroom. And the result of that is very deadly, because there is something called as law of expectation in teaching. Law of expectation means the teacher gets what he expects from the student. Our expectations subtly affect the performance of our students. To give an example, in a school, there were A and B divisions. A were bright children, B were mediocre children. When from standard 5th to 6th, the transition happened for the students. Somehow, due to computers' data entry mistake, the B division students were given A division students marks and vice versa. And then the next year's teachers who accepted now the B fellows into the A division and the A fellows of the previous year into the B division were about to start their academic year with their teaching style. They invariably go back and ask to the previous year teachers ki, who is the tyrant in the class and who did what, So they asked all that. In fact, they were not knowing faces. They were not very familiar with the whole phenomenon. They only knew that B means duffers, headache givers, backbenchers. The labeling had happened. And that the A means brilliant, most, attentive and courteous, everything in the classroom. The teachers, without any clue, for one full year taught. Students, without knowing that teachers have been giving attendant behavior according to their preconceived notions, went on learning. And to the great surprise, the B guys of the previous year had scored great marks. And the A guys, who were actually, so to say, bright students, had difficulty coping up with their syllabus and the learning. So these are documented histories in classrooms. So what happened exactly? Did the students change themselves in terms of who they were, or what happened? You get what you expect. So the mantra for a teacher is expect the best from every student that you have. Srila Prabhupada, when he went to America, he had this interesting ability that he could see that small spark somewhere in a person which he would fan. There are truckloads and tonloads of impurities and anarthas and ghastly attitudes and habits. Nothing doing. Complete overlook. Just look at that one thing and fan it. And we know so many stories of that. Shyam Sundar Prabhu having the cigarette packet on the head of Balram while carving the deity of Jagannath Baldev Subhadra. And Prabhupada goes there to see what is he doing. Prabhupada did not say a word even after seeing that offensive behavior. While leaving, after the whole discussion and everything happened, Prabhupada said, do not allow a small stick of tobacco to come in between you and Krishna. And then Prabhupada went. And that was the last day of Shyam Sundar Prabhu's smoking career. After that he finished. No more smoking. And Prabhupada used to often say, you are Americans. You should be doing this. What is the use of otherwise you are being American? And the boys would really do anything for him. That was the capacity. So that's the point. The theme is expect the best and don't look at the people the way they look. Look at them by conditioning yourself in terms of what excellence you see in them they can bring. And if we start seeing it in them, they will start behaving with us accordingly. I don't know whether you have any teacher in your life where it happened with you that you were dilapidated in condition. You had no hopes about yourself. And there are some teacher who said, no, I see great hopes. And there is amazing caliber hidden, full potential in you. Somehow or other, in future you are going to excel. I don't know how. And here I am to unconditionally support. And that's what made you get change in your life. You remember those two lines of Krishna that he speaks to Arjuna when Arjuna says, I shall not fight. These two shlokas you can recite 108 times every time you get depressed in your life. You get depressed in your life about things the way they are in your life. Those two shlokas are Kutastva Kashmala Vidam Vishame Samupasthitam Anarya Jushtam Aswaragyam Akirtikaram Arjuna Klaibyam Masma Gamah Partha Naitattvai Upapadyate Kshudram Hrudaya Daurbalyam Tyaktvo Tishtha Parantapa. Powerful verses these are, if you really meditate on their meaning. Krishna is not calling Arjuna Klaibya, eunuch. He is saying, don't yield to this degrading importance. He is not calling Arjuna that you are a gone case, you are doomed. Anarya Jushtam, this behavior does not befit an Arya like you. Which means, you are a very powerful and capable person, but some impurities, kutastva kashmalamitam, kahan se gand utha ke laya ye? Chetna mein apne, विषय में, वो भी इस वॉरफेयर के टाइम, इट वॉज इन द होम, नो प्रॉब्लम. एट द बिगिनिंग ऑफ अ वॉर, विषय में समुपस्थित. अनार्य जुष्टम, अस्वर्ग्यम, अकीर्तिकरम अर्जुन. कृष्ण इज टेलिंग consequences of yielding to this kind of behavior. So the point I'm making is, we also sometimes think कि ये क्या 16 माला 4 नियम और कितना दिन चलेगा गाड़ी, or whatever we may think about. We have to tell at those times to us these statements of Krishna, that we actually deserve our rightful claim of being spirit souls eternally engaged in Krishna's service. So these were the two exercises. The first one was attendant appropriate behavior. The second one was expect the best. Don't look at your students the way they look now to you based on your limited perceptions. Look at them the way Krishna would look at Arjuna. And I would like to conclude by this one statement. Where did it go? Marker. This is my most favorite statement so far in my teaching service. When I teach, I see Krishna there assessing me. I'll repeat. When I teach, I see Krishna there assessing me. It is not about how my students are responding to me. It is all about how I am responding to my students. Krishna is watching me when I am teaching. So sometimes it's very easy, Trunadapi Sunijana and all that to tell, in the classes. When you actually get on ground level dealing with people around, then Krishna, he's looking at you and smiling. Say, बहुत घमासान प्रवचन झाड़ते हो. Now show your caliber. So, whenever we are teaching something to someone, Krishna is assessing two things. Are we living by it ourselves? First thing. And number two, with what mood are we delivering it to our students? Is it with enjoying mentality or is it with service attitude? Sometimes we have a tendency to borrow potent words from Krishna, Guru, Vaishnavas, and use them for getting self-aggrandizement. And that is a crime like that of a Ravana, who used Sita, Lord's potency, for getting gratification for himself. So as teachers, we have to be constantly aware that we are simply like Hanuman, using Lord's energy, connecting it back to the Lord, and all those people back to the Lord. The teacher is like a live link between the transcendence and the candidate seeking it. And he holds the pulse of both in his hand. And he exactly speaks words that Krishna would like to speak to this person in his situation. To the degree we are connected to Krishna, we will be empowered to exactly speak those words that are needed for our audience to hear. So with that, I would like to end today. There is one last exercise which I will give, which you would do at home. So take any book of Prabhupada and one paragraph from that book, about 15 lines paragraph. And you have to recite that paragraph in front of 3 types of audiences in 3 volume levels. So the first audience is you are teaching that paragraph to a child, one-on-one. How would you teach? Number 2, when you are speaking in a group of 15, 20 people, some Bhakti Vriksha type program, and you are reading out the same paragraph as a teacher, you are teaching it. And you are made the Prime Minister of India, and on Independence Day of India, you are addressing the whole nation about what should be the mission of our Indian civilization, so to say. And you are speaking on air or in front of a large audience, the same paragraph that Prabhupada is writing, you are going to speak it out as if you are going to speak to that audience. So in the first case, your pitch is going to be homely and soft, so to say, cajoling and appealing, loving. In the second case, it is going to be formal because it's a class, and medium pace of voice. And the last situation, you have to literally go in an open, say, ground or a stadium somewhere and shout at the top of your lungs. That same paragraph you have to read as if you are without mic. We are speaking to whole of the stadium. And even if people think you are crazy, don't mind when you do that. It's just for you to get the benefit of this exercise. I assure you, if you do this exercise, your ability to deal and ability to project your voice into your audience will improve like anything. So I don't have a specific paragraph to give you. You can select whichever one you like. But if you need a paragraph, the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, last one paragraph, in which Prabhupada is translating Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva, that shloka. So you have to speak that 6-line paragraph if you really want to speak it. This is just a suggestion, not compulsion. You can choose your favorite paragraphs from Ishopanishad, Queen Kunti, wherever you like them from. And please do this exercise, don't neglect it. Low voice, one-on-one, as if it's a bedtime story or something. Medium voice, formal class, 10-20 people audience. You are a national leader speaking out on air to the whole nation, convincing them of the importance of this one mission that you are offering them when you read that paragraph. I hope the exercise is clear. I did it in Mayapur when I had got my teacher training from Rasmandal Prabhu. We literally went into the Mayapur fields, in the grass fields, paddy fields. And we were given a paragraph, and not like that third one, we sometimes tend to shy away, from it. We say, "Arey, itna kaise chillane ka?" No, you do it. You really take the paragraph and you project your full energy and volume into it as best as you can. And I assure you, the results will be immense. Thank you. So I would like to conclude with that printout that I gave you. There are just 2 small agendas unattended there. On page 2, we saw design and preparation versus execution or delivery. So we have tried to consolidate everything a teacher has to do in these 2 realms. So we talked about up to facilitation skills. Now I want you to peacefully read speaking skills, which are on last but second page. No, last but third page. It's called Guidelines on Lecturing. Just please read those sub-points. If there is something unclear, please ask me. Yeah, watch out for humor, it can backfire. Sometimes some people crack a joke on Sardarjis, and there is a Sardarji sitting in the class. Sometimes we don't intentionally do it, But human beings, less than animals, are interested in sense gratification, movies, parties. We say like that. We are thinking it's very enjoyable for us as a humor. People are so lowly. But there are people who are sitting in the audience, they take it very offensively. So these are some examples. Humor generally on yourself, not on the audience. You can make as much fun as you want of yourself, but never of the audience. Any other? Anything else needs explanation? After some time? Be spontaneous, put your heart into it. See, there is something called as structured spontaneity. When you use your Apple or a laptop, the basic structure is in its place. Now, while using it, you are spontaneous. Similarly, before you enter into your classroom, you have a clear-cut picture, the structure of what you are going to deliver. But then at the moment of interaction, you are spontaneous. When I came in, I had a structure. But the question that you ask me now is a spontaneous one, which I am replying. So that is called structured spontaneity. Some of us are too spontaneous. We hardly prepare. And some of us are so rigid and structured that we don't allow people, a feeling of unconditional reciprocity. So we have to take care of both. Balance. Any other? Please read resource management. Yeah. Second one, the resources reduce hypnotic effect. Hypnotic effect means if a teacher is continuously going on speaking, after some time the audience has a hypnotic effect. They really find it, So they appear to be with eyes open, but they are already hypnotized by the continuous tone of the speaker. So that's called hypnotic effect. Sometimes in TV you might have seen there is no signal. Kind of sound is coming. Very irritating. Like that, people are not capturing any signal in the class. And they are not happy also. There is some irritation. Mind is just going somewhere. And so they become hypnotized. So when you use resources, blackboard, this, that, some change here and there, they come out of that hypnosis. Other than the hypnosis that was offered earlier. So that's dropout rate basically means people walk by their foot out of your class and they vote for your quality of class. So that's called dropout rate. They don't come. Like we conduct a one-time program, 100 people come. When we conduct 6-session program, 30 people come. At the end of the 6-session program, 5 people stay back. And of those 5, one guy gets initiated. So dropout rate. इसमें बहुत बड़ा योगदान टीचर का होता है. You are getting? So we have to think like that. You should never think that because of me he is practicing bhakti. In spite of me he is practicing bhakti. Despite me being his teacher. How wonderful this fellow is. So, and I would take this opportunity to thank each one of you for bearing patiently with my blabbering. And thanks to the team here who has put up this wonderful training program for all of you. After seeing those 2 presentations, the Sanskrit recitation and the Bhakta Prahlad school, I am inspired to go back and do something in Pune. A little more fine-tuned and elaborate exercise of our services that we are offering to children. Thank you, Prabhuji. You said the teacher is the link between Krishna and the student. He knows the pulse of Krishna, he knows the pulse of student, and he's like the connect. We hear a lot of Krishna conscious philosophy. However, Prabhuji, today you translated that philosophy into the lives of a teacher. How that philosophy really connects. So that was beautifully done. And this connection we will continue. Picnic may be the first step, but there will be many more opportunities where we will like to associate more with you and your team for sure. So thank you very much, Prabhuji.